Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Sanjay Kumar Chamoli from Department of Physics and Astrophysics, University of Delhi. Today we are going to discuss about the module Nuclear Reactions Part 2 from paper Nuclear and Particle Physics. After studying this module, you will be able to understand number 1, the basics of nuclear collective model. Number 2, knowledge of collective rotational model, vibrational model. And number 3, knowledge of collective rotational model. Nuclear reaction cross section. In this particular slide, we are going to study one of the important parameter in nuclear reactions, that is the cross section. What is cross section? Cross section of a nuclear reaction shows its ability of happening or the probability of happening under the given conditions. It means whether a nuclear reaction can happen or not. It is basically the property which basically gives this idea. So cross section is very important. By looking at the cross section, we can identify whether that particular nuclear reaction will happen or not. If it will happen, then what is the probability? Means at what rate it will proceed. Importance of nuclear cross section is meeting ground between theory and experiment. What does that mean? That is, cross sections are basically we can calculate using the basic principles of physics. So cross sections are calculated and then we do the nuclear reaction and measure the experimental cross sections also. So when we compare the two, that is experimental cross section when compared to the theoretical cross section, then we can basically interpret some of the physics behind the process of nuclear reaction. So it's a meeting ground between theory and experiment. Nuclear theory using quantum mechanics is used to predict the probability or the likelihood that a specific nuclear process under certain conditions, example incident energy, angle of observation, etc., can basically be predicted. This cross section may be measured in the laboratory. So this is what we have discussed, that we calculate the experiment theoretical cross section using basic principle of science or basic principle of physics, and then we measure them in the laboratory and then the two are compared. The quantitative measure of this prediction is the cross section of the process. That is, nuclear theory is used to predict the specific cross section of a process. Comparison between theoretical prediction and measurement is used to evaluate the significance of the underlying theory. It means when we calculate the nuclear reaction cross section for a given set of reaction at a given energy, when we calculate the theoretical cross section, we have to adopt certain model or certain theory. So when we compare the experimental cross section with the theoretically predicted cross section, in that case, we can basically test that nuclear theory. So parameters of the theory can be modified by the comparison in a large data set. For example, if we can for one particular nuclear reaction, there can be some good prediction by one theory, but when the same theory is applied to different set of equations, probably the nuclear reaction parameters or nuclear reaction cross section is not predicted well. So in that case, by applying the particular nuclear theory to a different set of or large set of nuclear reactions, we can basically set our parameters of the theory so that it is more useful and more credible. It can give more credible predictions about the nuclear reaction for a wider set of nuclear reactions. Differential cross sections. Differential cross sections are important. So cross sections are basically of different type. So one of the important cross section is the differential cross section. Differential cross section means number of particles detected per unit solid angle at different scattering angles, which is basically the function of incident flux. So when we basically in the laboratory, if we want to measure the nuclear cross section, then what we do, we put our detector at a particular angle with respect to the geometry, and then we basically measure the radiation, or we basically detect the radiation. Then those radiations which we have detected, then those radiations are at that particular angle and with a particular solid angle. So number of particles detected in that detector per unit solid angle at different scattering angles, then we change the position of the detector and successively measures the number of gammas or number of radiation detected, number of radiations coming in the detector. So this thing is called the differential cross section, and it's a function of incident flux. Nuclear reactions cross section. In this slide, we are going to study an important requirement of nuclear reaction, which is the cross section. As we have understood that cross section indicates the probability of happening of a reaction. So what are the ways by which we can measure cross section? Now here in this slide we are going to discuss that how the cross section can be calculated for a given set of reactants. Now in this case, suppose n theta omega, the number of particles passing per second through solid angle d omega, and n0 represents the number of beam particles per second per centimeter square. So here in the picture it is shown that how the beam is moving, coming towards the target, and then after the reaction the product particles are scattered, making an angle theta with the direction of the beam. If this kind of situation happens, then d sigma, which is nothing but the differential cross section, d sigma is equal to n theta d omega upon n0, where d omega is nothing but the solid angle, small solid angle, and theta is the scattering angle. So differential cross section is defined as d sigma over d omega, that is the cross section per unit solid angle is called differential cross section. Nuclear reaction cross section. Now in addition to the differential scattering cross section, we may be interested in two other kinds of cross section. One is called total cross section. Now in one of the slides in the previous lecture, we have seen that when two nuclei react, then depending upon the energy and angular momentum involved in the system, there can be variety of outputs. For each output or for each product nucleus, there is a definite amount of cross section. So if we know the individual cross sections of all the output product nuclei, then we can integrate them, or we can make a sum of that and get the total cross section. So total cross section is nothing but the total or the entire possibility of happening of nuclear reaction. Basically we are going to study that how we can calculate the total cross section for a given set of reactants. Integrating differential cross section over the whole range of scattering angles gives total cross section. It means if we know the differential cross section, then using that differential cross section we can find the total scattering cross section. And how we get that? The expression below shows the way. Total cross section sigma t is equal to integral of sigma theta d omega, that is equal to 0 to 2 pi d phi 0 to pi d sigma over d omega sin theta d theta. In the picture also, in the picture on the right hand side also, the meaning of various quantities like d omega, d theta, d phi, theta is shown. Another quantity of interest in nuclear reaction is the absolute total cross section. Absolute means the integral of total cross section over all energies of the outgoing particles. Usually the cross section is obtained at a particular energy, but if we integrate the total cross section obtained over all energies of the outgoing particles, then it is called the absolute total cross section. Nuclear reaction types. Now in this slide we are going to study what are the different types of nuclear reactions. There are two extreme scenarios for nuclear reactions. Number one, the projectile and target are within the range of nuclear forces for very short time, allowing for an interaction of a single nucleon only. So this situation or this scenario is called direct reactions, or you can say that the reactions happening in that condition are called direct reactions. Another scenario is that projectile and target are within the range of nuclear forces for time, allowing for a large number of interactions between nucleons. This scenario, the reactions happening in this scenario are called compound nuclear reaction. So basically what the slide suggests us that nuclear reaction classification is done on the basis of interaction time of the two nucleons, the interaction time of the two nuclei in the reaction. When the projectile and the target remain in contact with them for a very short time, then interaction of only single nucleons happen. In that case they are classified as direct reactions. But when the time of interaction between the projectile and the target is comparatively long, then large number of interactions between nucleons of the target and the projectile happen, and they form the compound nucleus type of reactions. Nuclear reactions, direct reactions. Direct reactions are well described as a one-step transition from the initial state in the entrance to the final state in the exit channel. So we have seen up to the previous slide that nuclear reactions are of two types. Broadly classified in a broad classification, nuclear reactions are of two types: the direct reactions and the compound reactions. In the direct reactions, we basically can describe them as one-step transition from the initial state in the entrance to the final state in the exit channel. Why we are saying that? Because in the direct reaction we have understood that the two nuclei interact with each other for a very small time duration. So because of which only one nucleon interaction is possible, single nucleon interaction is possible. So types of different types of direct reactions, there are variety of different reactions that we can observe or that we can have. Number one is the stripping reaction. Stripping reaction means in which few nucleons from one of the nucleus are basically taken away in the reaction, so that those reactions are called stripping reaction. Example, neutron stripping in the DP reaction. Next category of direct reactions are pickup reaction. In the pickup reaction, one of the nucleus basically picks up few nucleons from the other interacting nucleus. So those reactions are called pickup reaction. For example, neutron pickup in the DP reaction. Third category of direct reactions are breakup reaction. Breakup reaction means when a major chunk or some substantial chunk of nucleons or some group of nucleons are basically broken away from the incoming nucleus in the reaction, so that those reactions are called breakup reaction. That is, A plus B is going into C plus A plus C plus D. So this is not a binary reaction. It means, for example, here in the given example, A is interacting with B, and instead of having the two different set of nuclei, here we are having A plus C plus D. That is, three product nuclei are produced, in which any of these two are basically the part of the previous either A or B. Next set of direct reactions are the knockout reaction. In knockout reaction, what are the knockout reaction? That a reaction in which a single nucleon or light cluster is removed from the projectile by a collision with the target. Nuclear reactions, direct reactions. In this slide, basically the picture of what is happening in direct reactions is shown. Here you can see that the projectile is coming towards the target. Here in this case the projectile is big or large and the target is small, for example 9 beryllium. What happens is, in this case the few nucleons from the projectiles are basically knocked out, and then the remaining projectile moves in the forward direction by emitting gamma rays. So, these kind of direct reactions are basically called knockout reactions, where few nucleons from the heavy projectile are basically knocked out by the target and the remaining projectile moves in the same direction, making a different product nucleus. Nuclear reactions, direct reactions. In this slide, we are going to study the significance of direct reactions, that why the direct reactions are important for us. Now, the direct reactions are widely used as a tool to study nuclear interactions and reaction dynamics. So, first important significance of direct reaction is that they are widely used to study the nuclear interactions, because in this case, in case of direct reactions, the time of interaction is very small, where we can assume that only a single nucleon interaction has happened. So, in this case, we can study the interaction, nuclear interaction, as well as the reaction dynamics. Another important significance is a proper quantum mechanical treatment has been developed for single step reactions. So, by observing the direct reactions, we can analyze them quantum mechanically also. We can analyze the output of those reactions by applying the quantum mechanical treatment, because the quantum mechanical treatment for single step reactions have been developed. Comparison between measured and calculated observable is used to get information about the properties of reaction and interacting nuclei. So, if we compare the observables or the things we observe in the direct reactions with the theoretically calculated values, what are the observable we are interested in that case? Differential cross section, angular distribution of products, etc. So, that comparison can give us information about the properties of reaction and interacting nuclei. Nuclear reactions, direct reactions. So, we continue with our discussion about the direct reactions. In this slide, we are going to further extend our understanding about the significance of direct reaction. The nuclear structure of nuclei in the entrance and exit channel has a direct impact on the direct reaction dynamics. So, if we know the structure of the nuclei before reaction and structure of the nuclei produced after the reaction, then we can study the reaction dynamics. Another important significance of direct reactions is that the predictive power of direct reaction is so important. The predictive power of direct reactions is of importance for understanding nucleosynthesis and production of elements in a star. Now, if we want to know what is happening in our stars and how nucleosynthesis process happens, the direct reactions provide us that important way. Now, the question arises, when is a nuclear reaction direct? So, it means when we have all cases, we have the projectile is coming towards target, reaction is happening, product nuclei are produced. So, when we can consider or when we can classify a particular nuclear reaction as the direct reaction, the condition is For the reaction to be direct, it is imperative to involve a single nucleon interaction. So again, we emphasize on the fact that direct reactions are the one in which the interaction at the nucleon level, single nucleon level, happens between the projectile and the target. Nuclear reaction, direct reaction. So we continue our discussion about the direct reactions. Now, the important thing for us to know, what are the characteristics of direct reactions. So in this particular slide, we are going to study the characteristics of direct reactions. Direct reactions are fast as they involve a single nucleon interaction and need ELAB greater than 5 MeV per nucleon. So it means this is the first characteristic, that these nucleons are fast reactions, and second thing, the energy needed to carry out these reactions is greater than, in most of the cases it is greater than 5 MeV per nucleon. Second important characteristic of direct reaction is that reaction happens on the surface, not within volume of interacting nuclei. Why it is so? Because when the two nuclei are interacting in the nuclear reaction, this is beam nucleus, this is basically the beam nucleus, this is the target nucleus. So when they come in contact with them and the time is very short, in that case only the nuclei on the surface where they are touching or where they are interacting, these nuclei, so reaction can happen only between those nuclei. So that is the reason that why the reaction happens only on the surface, not within volume of interacting nucleus. Third important characteristic is product distribution, that is product distribution in the center of mass frame is highly anisotropic or forward focused. So this is another characteristic of direct reaction. Next important characteristic is angular distributions of direct reaction products are sensitive to the momentum transfer and parity change during reaction. So this is one of the very important characteristic of direct reaction, that in this case basically the products, angular distribution of the products are sensitive to the momentum transfer and parity change during the interaction. Another important characteristic of direct reaction is that the angular distribution yields spin and parity of states populated. Nuclear reactions, direct reactions. So ultimately, we can see that the reactions we classify in terms of time scale. So now in this slide, we will study that what are the time scales for any reaction to classify as direct reaction. The time scale of direct reaction is equal to the range of nuclear force in the interaction divided by the relative speed of the projectile and the target. So if we want to measure the time scale of interaction in a nuclear reaction, then how the time is measured? The time is measured by dividing the range of nuclear force at the time of interaction by the relative speed of the projectile and the target. For range of nuclear forces, sum of nuclear radii plus a separation factor delta is equal to 2 Fermi is used. So R is equal to Rp plus Rt plus delta R, that is equal to 1.2 into bracket a to the power ap to the power 1 by 3 plus at to the power 1 by 3 bracket close plus 2 Fermi. This is conventionally the formula used to get the range of nuclear force. Nuclear reactions, direct reactions. From the center of mass transformation, we know that the relative speed is the same in the lab and in the center of mass frame. Thus, we can use the initial lab speed. So, relative speed from the dynamics, from the kinematics, nuclear reaction kinematics, we know that the relative speed is the same whether we measure it in the center, whether we get it in the center of mass frame or in the lab frame. So, it means if we want to use the relative speed. Lab speed can be taken as the relative speed between the target and the projectile, which can be obtained as V is equal to square root 2 E over mp. mp means the mass of the projectile, that is equal to square root 2 E over ap u c square into c. So using this expression we can get the value of V. So students, let us summarize what we have learnt in this module. As we have seen that very many concepts are being discussed about the nuclear reactions in this particular module. So now it's time for us to recap what we have learned in this particular module. The first thing we learned is that reaction cross-section is important quantity in nuclear reaction. Second thing, the nuclear reaction can be of direct type or compound type. Third important thing that we have learned is direct reactions are fast while compound reactions are slow. And the fourth important thing that we have learned in this particular module is that in direct reactions, the product distribution is highly anisotropic. And one more thing which we have learned in this particular module is that in compound reactions, the final product depends upon the type of particles emitted and the excitation energy of compound nucleus.